using the spiritual laws and principles such as the law of attraction to get past your obsessive compulsive behavior and move on, into your best life and a life of prosperity and abundance. But I had something happen to me this week, and this has actually been a pretty big conversation. This has been a pretty big topic kind of all over the internet, because there's a lot of people that are swimming in a mountain of student loan debt. A while back, over a year ago now, it's been at least a year and a half, I started educating myself on what some possible options might be for me, because I had tried various things. I tried looking into the various programs they say that they offer for student forgiveness, and I ended up not being able to qualify for any of those for one reason or another. Long story short, after years of paying and then deferring and then paying and then deferring and then selling the debt and then me paying and then deferring and da-da-da-da-da, what started out being a $9, $10, maybe $15,000 at the most debt, after me paying on it and deferring it a couple of times, but paying on it for, almost 20 years, and after even rehabbing the loan, they were trying to say that I now owe them $26,000. And that it steadily is accruing at $100 a month interest as no payments are being made. So I don't know where to even start with this video, because there's just so much to say about this topic. But I went over and I educated myself, and I went over to, basically another video where I had done what this guy was advising. And I put it in the comments on his YouTube channel, and other people started joining in the conversation, to where it's built up now over the last year to where there's like 74 comments just on my comment alone, let alone all the conversation that's happening, on his channel, on that page. So what he was advising, his name is Brandon Weaver. What he was advising, and he is selling a book. He has a book, an ebook or whatever for sale, that suggests that you do this. That what you can do is ask them to present you with the original instrument of indebtedness. Let me say it this way. They have to have this original instrument of indebtedness, because in order for you to actually by law be able to be out of a debt, they have to be able to stamp that original master document paid in full. If they're unable to do that, then you're really unable to satisfy the debt, even if you pay it. So therefore, they're not liable to come after you for the money, or you're not liable to pay it. And I want to say right now that this does kind of intermesh with my normal video topics, in the fact that, we make mistakes when we're young. We make mistakes when we're using. But, and sometimes, when you get clean and sober, of course, you have to deal with some of this past stuff that comes up. But let me just say that and without being a victim, because I don't want to say that I'm anybody's victim, but I have educated myself, and I do see that there's a pattern here with these student loan lenders, that they are predatory lenders. They approach you when you're 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, and you're entering college, and they have now everybody your whole life has told you, if you don't go to college, you're not going to be anything, right? So you have to go to college. And the only way you do go to college is by getting in student loan debt. That's just the American way. That's what everybody's doing. And so, like for me, my classes might have been $600, and maybe another $200 for my books or whatever, because I wasn't like in a dorm or anything. I was going to community college, for God's sakes. I was taking like 2 or 3 classes a semester. You know, I was just like kind of dicking around. Really? Let me see what I want to be when I grow up. Like, I don't know. And they were like, here, Elizabeth. Oh, well, you need $600 for your class. Oh, you need $200 for your books. Okay, and here's another $3,000 for living expenses. So, you know, we can give you up to $4,000 because you're going to need, you know, for your living expenses. What? You're going to give me $4,000? And I don't even, like, have any credit or anything. You're just going to, like, give that to me? Like, oh, my God. Oh, all I have to do is sign right here. Woo! Easy. Right? Yeah. And there's this whole big thing that I cannot go into in one video. But I will continue to do periodic updates, trust me, as this thing progresses. Because it's time for the people to get their lives back and to stand up and to do this the right way and to know the truth about what's going on. Student loan debt never, ever, ever goes away. And that this interest continues to accrue to the point where you're like me and you're 43 years old and you can never pay that debt. Well, I ain't never gonna say never. Not anymore. But there was a time when I looked at it and I was like, there's no, like my payments were like up to like $481 a month. When you're a single mom and your paychecks are only $300 or $400 a week, you can't pay no $400-something a month to student loans. I'm trying to keep the lights on around here, boo. Trying to keep the food in the refrigerator around here, boo. And what I've noticed, well, and let me go back. Let me slow down. Because like I said, it's so much, like I get kind of all over the place because they really do make this so confusing with their legalese and their backdoor dealings with the government and the lobbyists and the way that they sell the debts, one third-party creditor to another. Like, we're getting bills from people and companies. We don't know, who are these people? Like, who are you? Like, I did a loan with, like, Sallie Mae back in, like, 1999. I borrowed, like, $4,000, and the rest was, like, Pell Grants. Like, why do I have a bill from these FIA people or from SunTrust Bank now saying I owe $26,000? Like, what the hell? So to try to make this all coherent, to try to make this flow as best as possible. Last year, when I started my channel, you know, I really started the last time I used was in 2017. I had a couple of weeks where I went on a little bender. It was definitely not good, but I knew that was going to be my last time using. On that bender, it was like I actually observed the whole situation. I could almost see myself watching myself. And I remember just kind of feeling like I was just holding on for that couple of weeks and just going, oh, please don't let me get arrested till this bender's over. Oh, please don't let me lose my daughter till this bender's over. Like, please don't let anything really bad happen. Let me just it was like I was stuck on this roller coaster ride I couldn't get off of, this bender. But I knew that it was my last. I knew that I was, like, this was it. Like, this was the goodbye hoorah. And so it has been. And I have worked a lot to take complete and total responsibility for my life and make the changes that are required to to live a life of prosperity and abundance and according to the spiritual laws and principles of the universe. And part of that is, right, I want to clean up the past baggage, the past whatever. But when these predatory lenders come after you as a kid and get you into a debt that you can never get out of because they constantly transfer the debt, because that's what I noticed. Because when I look here on my TransUnion, because last year I pulled my credit report because I wanted to start cleaning up some of the stuff, and it shows here that my AES SunTrust Bank debt for $26,727, because it goes up every month. That it says right here that the high balance estimated month and year this item will be removed would be 8/20/24. So because, you know, when you're in debt, if you don't pay the debt has to fall off your credit every 7 years. So it is with any normal loan, with any normal debt, any credit card, anything you don't pay, they can try to get the money for you from 7 years, and after that, it's done. But what these sneaky little bastards do is they keep transferring the debt all over the place, back and forth to each other. It's AES, it's Sallie Mae, it's FIA, it's SunTrust, it's this one, it's that one, this, that, and the third. And so they keep establishing it almost as it's a new debt. Back in 2017, they were sending me these bills that my student loans were at $400 and $500 and whatever a month, and it was not going to happen. So I defaulted. I finally couldn't keep up anymore after all these years, and I defaulted. And these are 20-year-old loans. And after I defaulted, which at one point I even thought, you know, I would go back to school or something, but when they defaulted, they came to me and they said, we have this rehabilitation program where all you have to pay is $5 a month for the next 9 months, and we will pull your loans out of default, and then we'll look at your finances to see what you can afford and work with you to set those payments. And it sounded all good. And that's what I did. But in the meantime, because I was finally getting clean, getting my head out of my ass for once, I said, why don't I educate myself on this? Why don't I see what other people are doing? Like, how can I get out of this hot mess? Because I couldn't get over the fact that after all these years, after borrowing at the most $15,000 and paying on it for several years, even though I had deferments here and there in between, but after, you know, paying on it, and then after all this time, I owe $26,000, and it's accruing at this monster interest rate. Turn to YouTube, honey. Best search engine in the world. Turn to YouTube and start seeing what other people were doing. And here's the thing. When you borrow money from somebody and you go and you sign your name on the dotted line and you borrow money from that person, and then you default on that loan, you don't pay that person back, that person has a right to come after you for the money, put a lien against any property, or take the property back. If it's like a car note or something, they can come and repo it or whatever. Or because of the way the system got set up, because the third-party creditors started seeing money, 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 they could sell the debt. And unbeknownst to you, because you're an uneducated American, because you're too busy watching the freaking Kardashians, they switch things up on you. And they have gotten way too much power, and they are enormous bullies. So don't feel, I said all that so that you understand that you do not need to feel a damn bit guilty at any time for finding your own loophole to get out of a situation that will otherwise is a threat to you and your family. They have their loopholes and the way that they do things that keep people stuck. They have their loopholes and the way that they do things that keep people stuck. You have every right to find your way. And hopefully, I can help you do that. Okay? Please learn from my mistakes. Please. Lord, I pray you learn from my mistakes. So, getting to the point. Now, what I did was once I rehabbed the debts, which they told me that I could do, as soon as that happened, they turned around and sold my debt again. And because I had been educating myself, and I had looked at, because there ain't just one, honey, there's a few separate things you can do to get out from under this. I promise you, on this one, where there's a will, there's a way. So, I decided to go about it this way because I thought it would be the easiest, open and shut way to kind of do it. So, I asked them at that time when they sold the debt back to SunTrust Bank. I asked SunTrust Bank to present to me or allow me to inspect the original instrument of indebtedness. Do you have this document? Because by law, you have to have this document for you to be able to come after me for this debt. And I even, because I had educated myself, reported that I had asked that I had made that request to the CFPB, which, if you don't know about it, you'll learn about that. I'm not going to go into that right now, but maybe I will at some point if you ask. So, but I'm reporting this to the CFPB so that I have a paper trail, so that I have proof, okay? I don't get much response back from SunTrust. What I get, basically, is a photocopy of one signature that they had from me from 2007 where I did a debt consolidation. They didn't even have the original document of that. They just had a copy of a debt consolidation, not the original instrument of indebtedness. I continued to request this from them. I would file the complaint with the CFPB, and just because SunTrust answered, CFPB would just close the complaint. It didn't matter that they didn't actually answer the question the way it was supposed to be answered. They didn't answer me in a response that actually made sense. They totally ignored what I asked, and they said something else. It's like I said to them, hey, can you go ahead and I need you to tell me, is that car red or blue? And they responded to me and responded to the CFPB with, this car has great air conditioning and gets approximately 60 miles to the gallon. Okay? Simple question, is it red or blue? And you're talking to me about something else. And the CFPB goes, they send me a letter, oh, they've answered your, they've made a response to your complaint. closed. So every time I would have to ask them again, see if I would have to open a new complaint with CFPB again, just for them to continually send me the same response, till finally I got an attorney. And many of you have asked me who I got as attorney. Listen, don't worry about that yet. When I actually feel like I'm out of this, and there's actually an attorney that I feel was the reason, or that actually benefited me and got me out of this, at that time I might make a referral for an attorney. But for right now, it doesn't matter. Just, you know, try to find you an attorney, which is going to be hard, because there's not a whole lot of attorneys out there, quite frankly, that even know this stuff, because there's not enough of us American people out there demanding that these laws be upheld by these third-party creditors. So even the attorneys have to do research on this. They don't know. They're like, that's not knowing. So I'll refer you an attorney maybe at some point. But for now, just try to find you one if you need to. But he sent a demand letter to SunTrust and gave them 30 days to respond with a final answer about this original instrument. At which time, they sent back to me, finally, another letter saying that they have, and this was from the president of SunTrust Bank, Diane Evans, who stated that we have received and reviewed your recent correspondence regarding the account referenced above, and we appreciate the opportunity to respond. According to the National Student Loan Data System, NSLDS, you had 10 federal Stafford loans. Boom. You see that? Right there, instead of saying anything about, do we have the original instrument documentation, they're trying to say, according to this and that, you had it. They're just trying to get me to admit through some other way or some other form or fashion, or they're trying to get me to believe that because this something over here says this, that means that they have ground to stand on. But they don't, because if they did, they would just respond to the question with, no, we don't have that and we don't need it because of this law, and they would give the law and they would give the case whatever for it, and it would be a done deal. And then I'd say, okay, and then they would set up a time for me to go to the bank, and I would inspect the original instrument of documentation, and I'd say, okay, and then I'd have to go about it a different way. But instead, they want to keep, you know, tying you up. And now, while I've made this request, which by law I have the right to do they stop accruing interest on the loan? Do they stop asking me to pay the loan? No, honey, they let it keep on rolling. Now, I can't make a payment during this time after they've just sold the debt to the new financial institution that just bought it, because once I make that payment, I'm now admitting that I owe this money. So now the debt's accruing more, I'm getting more interest, I'm getting charged interest upon interest upon interest upon interest. It's turning into a big fucking monster, okay? So, okay, so she tells me all the schools I went to, blah, 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 from 1997 to April 2005. And then she tells me where I can view my loan history on this National Student Loan Data System website. And then tells me to obtain the promissory notes for these loans, you need to contact the original lenders. So then she tells me I need to go out and I need to find this original document that she's asking me the money for after it's been sold. But you're asking me for the money, but then you're telling me to go out and find this original promissory note? How many of you guys can guess I was quick to run out and do that? Okay? Not so much. Stupid. So anyway, she's repeating to me the history of the loan. You know, the loan defaulted in August of 2015. At that time, ownership of the loan was transferred to the guarantor, Pennsylvania Higher Education. Okay? So, PHIA, as it's called, is the guarantor. During this time, you signed a FIA, Defaulted Student Loan Rehabilitation Agreement, which I did. A copy of this document is enclosed, reflecting the agreement of October 27, 2016. I call attention to the second bullet point on page 2, which indicates federal regulations, minimum 9 payments in order for you to become, anyway, blah, 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 about the rehabilitation, okay? So in July 2017, then they admit SunTrust purchased your previously defaulted student loan from FIA. So that's what they did. I rehabbed my loan, and then SunTrust purchased it. So it got sold again. So, and every time they sell your debt, you went into debt with Sallie Mae 20 years ago. You didn't go into debt with SunTrust in July of 2017. They bought your debt then. But now you've got somebody new who you didn't enter into any agreement with coming to you who has satisfied your debt. Thank you very much. Thank you for doing that. Oh, now you want the money? I never got into an agreement with you, okay? Smarten up, people. It's like, come on. You got this now. You're starting to get a feel for how crooked and crazy this is. Okay, so anyway, blah, 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 goes on. Your account is severely delinquent, and we urge you to work with AES on your repayment plan to avoid defaulting on your student loan again. Okay, so after she basically tells me, no, we don't have it, and if you want it, you need to go get it, and admitted they purchased the loan, they said, and we'd still like the money, okay? At which time my attorney said to me, Elizabeth, is the document out there? Do you think that this original instrument of indebtedness is out there? I said, no, I don't. It's been over 20 years, and they've sold it back and forth all over the place so many times that there's no way. And he says, well, they can't sue you without that. So I said, great. I said, what do I need to do to get it off my credit report? He sent out a letter to me. This was for, actually he sent out a letter to the credit bureau, and the credit bureau at that time needed more information from me, and one of it was enlarged photocopies of any items such as my driver's license and proof of residency, which at the time I didn't have. I was living in a shelter, okay? And so I couldn't fix it right then. That's why I have kind of procrastinated putting it off, and just now I'm actually working to write the letters and get the letters out to the credit bureaus to get this off my credit. Now that I'm stably housed and everything's rolling good, okay? So that's where we're at. And in the meantime, I go and, I'll put a link to Brandon's page if you want to go check it out, all the conversation. So I go over to Brandon's page, and I do an update that, hey, I've won this thing. They've admitted they don't have it, the original instrument of indebtedness. And they've even said, I would have to go get it to go find it. And these were the original lenders, and da-da-da-da. And my attorney said we're taking off my credit, right? Just wait till you hear what they just did to me now. Boo.